So today we're diving into this thousand-year-old spiritual text that, well, it pretty much flips some of our most basic assumptions completely on their head. This isn't a sermon. Think of it more as a radical blueprint for transforming the human mind, and it's one of the most complex works you've probably never heard of. And here it is, straight from the Chinese Buddhist canon. This is the Sutra of the Great King of Teachings on the Supreme Fundamental Great Bliss Diamond Adamantine Non-Empty Samadhi. Yeah, I know, it's a real mouthful. But inside this dense, kind of esoteric manual is a truly fascinating and provocative guide to enlightenment. So let's jump in and unpack what this is all about.
All right, first things first, let's talk about the setting. To really get what this text is about, you have to understand where it all takes place. And here's a hint, we're not on Earth anymore.
So the story kicks off in this unbelievable palace, literally made of jewels, which immediately sets this epic cosmic scale. Any audience? They're not human. It's this huge gathering of magnificent beings called bodhisattvas. These are enlightened individuals who've made a choice to put off their own final nirvana out of pure compassion, just so they can help every other being do the same.
But, this whole grand setting, it's not just for looks. It's the stage for revealing what this sutra really is. It's not a myth or a fairy tale. It's a highly technical instruction manual for achieving a really profound and radical state of being.
Okay, now we're getting to the real heart of it, and this is where things get, well, pretty radical. The central idea here turns a very common spiritual teaching completely upside down.
If you think about most spiritual paths, they all grapple with this one big question. And usually the answer is yes. Desire, passion, attachment, these are the things we're told are the obstacles, the very source of all our suffering.
And this is where you see the huge difference. The conventional wisdom says you've got to stamp out desire to end suffering. But this sutra makes a pretty shocking claim that the very same desire, all that intense passion, that can actually be the fuel, the vehicle for enlightenment itself. And this one line from the text, this is everything. It argues that passion, at its most fundamental level, is actually pure. The whole idea is that before our minds label an energy as lust or anger, it's just raw, powerful force. So instead of trying to pour water on that fire, the sutra says, no, learn to see its pure essence and harness its incredible energy. You transform it into the fire of wisdom. It completely reframes what we think of as spiritual poison versus spiritual medicine.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how do you actually do it? The sutra doesn't just give you a cool philosophy and leave you hanging, it provides a really powerful set of ritual technologies to make this transformation a reality.
The main tool here is the mandala. And look, you've probably seen these as beautiful, intricate pieces of art, right? But in this context, it's something else entirely. It's functional. A mandala is a kind of spiritual technology, a 2D blueprint for a 3D cosmic palace that is, itself, a map of the enlightened mind.
What's wild is that the text gives these incredibly specific, step-by-step instructions for building it. You draw the palace, the gates, the wheel, you visualize the central deity and place all the other beings around them. This isn't just an art project, it's a way of making the entire cosmos manifest, of building a sacred space where this deep transformation can actually happen.
And then you have to activate this sacred space. The person doing the ritual uses mantras. These are sacred sounds that literally vibrate with enlightened energy, and mudras, which are very precise hand gestures that channel divine power. The whole thing is this multi-sensory, immersive experience designed to totally rewire your perception of reality.
And this leads us to some of the most dramatic parts of the text, which use imagery that honestly seems anything but peaceful at first glance. So one of the main rituals is all about subduing, not demons like you might expect, but the most powerful gods in the cosmos, gods like Maheshwara or Shiva. See, in this worldview, even these powerful beings are still stuck, trapped by their own pride and ignorance. And because of that, they can cause a lot of suffering for everyone else. And this is where we see this idea of wrathful compassion in full force. To break through to these powerful, ego-driven gods, the bodhisattva takes on a terrifying form. We're talking fangs, a furious expression, blazing light, even trampling them underfoot. But here's the key. This isn't anger. It's a manifestation of fierce, loving, compassionate energy, a force so powerful it can literally shock a god out of their own delusion. And it's so important to get this. This isn't about violence at all. You can think of it as a kind of cosmic intervention. The goal is just to shatter their pride, to subdue their egos, so that they can finally be guided toward enlightenment and become allies in the mission of liberating all beings.
So, why all this drama? Why these incredibly complex rituals and terrifying forms? Well, it all points to a final goal that is just breathtaking in its scale.
It all comes down to one single goal, the complete and total liberation of every single living being from suffering. No exceptions.
And the text is really clear about this. The goal isn't just to find your own personal escape hatch. The whole point of gaining all this incredible power is to be better able to help everyone else. The bodhisattva willingly stays in samsara, the messy, repeating cycle of life and death, for eons, all for the benefit of others.
And that, right there, is the big takeaway. This esoteric system isn't trying to create detached monks who retreat from the world. It's a blueprint for creating powerful, compassionate, and fully engaged beings who dive right into the heart of the world's problems, using every single tool they have, even passion and wrath, to help out.
So in the end, this ancient text leaves us with a really provocative question to chew on. What if the real path forward isn't about cutting away the parts of ourselves we don't like, but finding the courage to radically transform them? It's a challenging idea, even 1,000 years later.